but making that relationship with Annie, with Madison, how did you kind of build that rapport together offset so that it worked on set?
Well, we filmed this during the lockdown. So the whole cast and crew, like that was the community we had. We weren't going out and about outside of set. So I feel like that really helped not just Madison, but like the whole family unit get so close so quickly. Because outside of set, that's the only people I was hanging out with. But Madison and I were staying in the same place while we filmed in Shreveport, Louisiana. And we got into just going out and about.
Patty has this interesting scene where like the van is approaching on the road and she starts like confronting him, like, get out of
Mhm,
here. And that
mhm.
was like, as a kid, for me, I'd be like, no way am I doing that. I'm the guy who runs into the woods, right?
Mhm.
I'm wondering if faced in like a situation similar to that, would you react in a similar way? Is Patty a lot like you, or is there like a difference there?
I would say Patty and I are pretty similar because I'm the same way. Like, if you're bothering me, it's like, what's up? I'm not about to run. I'm not scared. So I definitely would react the same way. And I think I would do that because I wouldn't want to show, like, whoever it was, the killer or whatever, that I am scared.
Mhm.
So I feel like we are similar. And I love that Patty is just so tough and she stands up for her friends and she's not scared. And I feel like I'm the same way.
I love that you don't see the killer at all. Like you, it's like
Yeah.
he himself is this like just a looming threat in the
Mm.
shadows.
I thought it was super cool, and I haven't seen a film like that before because they always like to kind of show the character, and I love how they didn't do it in this one. Uh, so it was super interesting, and I love doing it. And it also like since it focused on us more, our reactions had to be like much more than they would in like the other films because they see the character, and we have to act like we see it when really we don't.
I would totally agree with that. I feel like also in this film, it's really important not to glorify a killer and highlight in that way and really just tell the true story of what happened to the victim. So I feel like that's really important. I think Warren did a wonderful job really doing that. And you can really just pay attention to the story a lot more rather than focusing on a sole person.
I think there's so many stories nowadays that like unintentionally, unfortunately, glamorize I'll say the villain for lack of a better word. But the victims are, in my opinion, the stories that should be heard and told and the voices that have gotten silenced. So I love that this follows Annie's experience throughout all of this. And speaking of like not ever seeing the man, but like I love just in like from a theatrical perspective, I feel like our brains will always picture the scariest version of whatever. And so I love when a horror film or thriller doesn't show the bad guy, the villain, the ghost, the demon, so then our brains can do create the scare of what our scariest version would be. And I feel like this film does a really good job of that. Almost kind of like the Jaws being
Mm.
and like the white van element to it.
Yeah, totally. I definitely agree with that. Like that's why in like horror films, my eyes are always glued to the shadow as opposed to
Yes,
what's lit, you know?
yes.
So
As soon as you see what's lit, it's like that's not as scary as what I have.
yeah, definitely. So shooting a period piece is fascinating to me. Like whether it's the costume design or like what you have to do to the set, even hairstyles need to change. But from a performance perspective for both of you, was there anything about you that's like, modern that you had to almost train out to fit into the 70s better? Like for me, I like saying like in between my words. I like putting slang in there.
One thing I would say is because in the film I did wear a wig. I didn't because it was too hot in Shreveport to have straighten my natural hair. So one thing I had to remember is back then, like they didn't do like, baby hairs and the hair didn't look perfect. So I had to tell my stylist who did my hair, I'm like, girl, they didn't have baby hairs like that in the 70s. Like we can't do that. So that was something I had to get used to. I'm like, this is literally 1975. And my mom was around in their era. So I would have to literally call her and she's like, no, you cannot have that. We didn't have that back in the day. So it was kind of hard, but it was fun to challenge myself to really stay in that period.
Doing some of the scenes, my mom would always remind me of stuff like about when she was younger and like how things would work all the time. And it was super like it's so different now. I mean, it's so crazy.